helping keep modern Manx history alive.
We have launched the Strategy for the Future of Health Services in Isle of Man, which is a 10-year strategy for our health services locally.
Now, you've got certain aspirations you want to tackle. I mean, one of the major ones there, people dying from, is smoking, for instance, which obviously everyone knows about, but yet it continues. I mean, what can you do about such things as that?
Well, we have got a smoking cessation program, which is assisting people to reduce and give up smoking, because nicotine addiction is quite serious, and the success rate without any assistance is about 1% of the people succeed. So we have got a practical program to assist people to give up.
I mean, it's still a legal thing. A lot of people obviously enjoy it, and the government gets a lot of tax revenue from it.
Well, absolutely. I mean, so we're not forcing anybody, but it's a question of, I mean, if you ask smokers, majority of them actually want to give up, but they don't know, and people relapse as well. So it's providing practical assistance in terms of nicotine replacement therapy and also psychological support to help them, to assist them to give up smoking and succeed in their attempt. Yeah.
I mean, obviously everyone's going to die of something, but you highlight the sort of challenging areas that you're going to try and tackle. Is there anything you can really do about any of these?
Absolutely, we can do something about all these areas, and that's why we have put it in the strategy. I mean, some areas are more difficult. If it's a cultural change, it's not, you can't achieve changes overnight. For instance, one of the major problems is increasing levels of obesity in the population. I mean, okay, you have to have a program to reduce obesity, whereby it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, you want to reduce the levels of the food intake and things like that, but at the same time, you also want to increase the physical activity. So it's not going to, just because I set up a program, it's not going to work in the next few months. No, it might take years, because it requires a cultural change. But then we have to make a start, and we have to identify that this is a problem, and we make a start and progress. And in a few years' time, yes, we will make significant improvements.
One of the items that may still shock people, it's in younger males in the Isle of Man. It's one of the, it's still a high death rate from people taking their own lives, but men particularly.
Yes, I mean, in terms of absolute numbers, they are not that significant. We are talking still about small number of actual deaths, but in terms of rates, yes, it's significantly higher than many other parts of the UK, for instance.
Do you know what's causing that?
Well, there are multiple factors with suicide. I mean, as you know, suicide is not something which people take that lightly, a decision. And, there are mental health issues there, access to online support and things like that. So we are looking at this, and there is actually a suicide prevention group, which is looking at all aspects, studying individual cases and trying to generalize what we can in terms of how can we reduce this. Clearly, it's inappropriately high, and what we need to do is, these are young lives which should not be lost. In fact, no life should be lost, but especially young lives shouldn't be lost. And with, a lot of work, we can tackle some of these things, yeah.
It's a 10-year strategy. Do you think you'll be here to see it through?
I hope so. I genuinely hope so. I don't think my chief executive has any plans to sack me.
Please subscribe to the Isle of Man TV archive channel. Thank you.